Coming up next on News 13, holiday travelers are packing airports and highways. We'll have a live report. And in our Healthline report, how can you keep those holiday treats from trashing your diet?
It may be Christmas, but it feels like Easter.
Coming up in sports, do you have your Final Four college basketball tickets?
We'll have those stories, plus Santa starts his deliveries early when you join us next for News 13.
This is News 13 at 6 with Ken Owen, Darcel Grimes, Ken Bostic's weather, and Chip Tarkenton sports.
Good evening, everyone. Darcel has the night off. It's the time of year when friends and family gather to share in the spirit of Christmas. Of course, getting together can be tough. Officials say they're seeing unusually heavy traffic through the nation's airports this year. News 13's Tom Christopher is at the Asheville Airport with the situation from there. Tom, are things busy out there right now?
Well, Ken, as you can see, a Piedmont flight just came in. There are plenty of people here at the airport waiting to greet their loved ones getting off the plane. The friendly skies are friendly this holiday season. They are also very full. Airports like Charlotte and Atlanta are, of course, as you said, reporting near record business today, and as a result, lines are said to be long and the atmosphere chaotic there. Here at Asheville Regional, if you can believe it, things are a little bit better, a little bit more under control, but they are still plenty busy. The comings and goings of holiday travelers has been smooth in western North Carolina this year. Planes have been flying full, but they haven't been overbooked due to many travelers booking ahead for lower fares.
With the fares the way they are, the further in advance you make your reservations, the cheaper it is, and that's what people are doing, is trying to plan out a little more than they have in the past.
But officials acknowledge that there are overflow crowds at other airports. But they say there are ways to speed your way through holiday travel traffic.
Try to carry on the airplane a small number of packages as you can. And
try and be a little patient with the lines. There is more lines. People are checking a lot more baggage. And I think the amount of traffic is the problem.
So though getting there may not be half the fun at Christmas time, it can be made a little easier. Ken, if you can believe it, they say the rush here is really over. Things were much busier than they are right now earlier this week. Evidently, most people are where they want to be for the big holiday tomorrow. But one travel hint, because of that fact, because people have already done their traveling so far, tomorrow is a good day to get on a plane and go someplace. So if you want to make that last-second travel trip, tomorrow is a very good day to do it and to get a seat on a plane.
And Tom, I imagine the worst can't be over yet because we still have Sunday to come.
Well, of course, everybody's got to go back.
Right.
I guess what they're saying is that people have gone there and that there's a lull during the holidays themselves. And Sunday, they're expecting record crowds again.
So if you want to go somewhere, leave tomorrow or Saturday. Just don't come back on Sunday.
That's it.
Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Of course, lots of folks will be traveling by car this holiday season, and officials say you can expect to pay about 4 cents less for a gallon of gas than you did last year. The Carolina Motor Club says it might be a good idea to stock up tonight. Fewer than half of Tar Heel stations say they will be open tomorrow. For those who cannot travel to see their loved ones this Christmas, some local churches are preparing a feast. They call it the Bounty of Bethlehem. As News 13's Betty Bailey tells us, it will be a touch of home for hundreds.
It's been said too many cooks can spoil the broth, but volunteers at Immaculata School may argue that there are plenty of cooks here stirring up a Christmas feast.
It's hectic the last minute. Up until that point, you think things are not going to happen. They happen.
And it's happened like this for 7 years in a row. The community donates money, food, and gifts. Volunteers from 12 local churches gather to cook up their gift of love.
This is for those people that don't have anybody to share Christmas with. And we ask them to share it with us.
What they share is turkey and all the traditional trimmings, plus a lot more.
It's just a pleasant surprise, and today especially, that you can have the young work with the old. The old teach the young, they learn something. The young have something to teach the old. There's a camaraderie.
And one other homey touch, everyone goes home with a present. You can tell by the smells in the kitchen that a lot of people have worked hard to make it a Christmas dinner just like home. And for the 1,000 or so guests they're expecting, it promises to be a Christmas they'll remember. Betty Bailey, News 13, Hendersonville.
Christmas almost didn't come this year for one Weaverville couple. They lost their trailer home in a fire and did not have insurance. But as News 13's Marcia Coffey tells us, the couple is rebuilding thanks to help from the community.
And I heard this crackling noise back in the wall, and I got up to see what was going on, and I just realized there was fire between the walls.
Zenny and Dare Jones are spending the holidays with neighbors this year. They won't be home for Christmas because their trailer house went up in flames and there was no insurance. Dare says he saw the smoke on his way home.
Had she been in the fire and burned up, I guess I wouldn't have burned, of course, but I'd have been a dead man too.
The Joneses lost most everything they'd accumulated in 53 years of marriage, except one thing fire cannot destroy: community support. That support would become the foundation to build this house on the same spot where the trailer burned down. The house is a collection of gifts from the community and the Mount Sheba Baptist Church. Donations are paying for parts while volunteers put them together.
Well, it happened so quick. I don't think there was really much thought given to whether we could or couldn't. It just started overnight, and next thing we know, it began to take shape.
It'll take another $8,000 to finish the house, but the community is determined to have it ready for a late Christmas present.
It's beyond my imagination. I just can't yet believe why people would be that good to us.
Marcia Coffey, News 13, Buncombe County.
A fire in some woods near Enka had firefighters out of bed early this morning. It started at about 3 o'clock this morning at Hooker's Gap. 6 fire departments were called in to help battle the blaze.
We figured it must have been a hunter in there sometime during the night.
The fire was brought under control at about 8 o'clock. About 25 acres were burned. Coming up next on News 13, our Healthline report will show you how to keep your waistline trim this holiday. But first, let's hear a few of your holiday wishes.
Amy. Just happiness. Simply, that's all. My wish, a radar detector. Yes.
Any particular reason for that?
My parents don't want me to have one.
The National Labor Relations Board says General Electric's labor election was fair. Last June, workers voted 2-1 against the International Union of Electrical Workers. The union says GE officials threatened to cut wages and possibly close the plant in Henderson County if workers voted in favor of the union. GE officials deny those charges. The Labor Board made its decision after hearing testimony from both sides earlier this month. There is no word on whether the union will appeal the board's decision. Topping tonight's Moneyline report, workers in Marion and Gastonia may be affected by an announcement by Burlington Industries today. Burlington says it will sell 2 of its fabric divisions to a group comprised of Citicorp Venture Capital and the current management of the 2 divisions. Those divisions have manufacturing facilities in Gastonia and Marion. The deal should be completed by February 1st. On Wall Street today, trading was quiet on this Christmas Eve. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down about 6 points at 1999.68. Gainers led decliners by a narrow margin. Looking at the most active local stocks today, Square D was down 5/8, GE was down 3/4, Champion was down 1/2, Westinghouse and Rockwell were both up 3/8. And finally, the nation's long-distance companies will be busy this holiday. AT&T expects to handle almost 45 million calls tomorrow. That would set a new record. MCI expects to place about 10 million calls, and U.S. Sprint anticipates 15 million. There's a happy feeling nothing in the world can buy when they pass around the coffee and the pumpkin pie. It's a time of year for traditional favorites on the table, and we all have a tendency to overindulge. News 13 Healthline reporter Linda Dawson offers us some nutritious holiday advice.
Things are frantic everywhere and kitchens all over as the preparations for Christmas meals goes on. Whether it's food for a few or more than 1,000, we're talking enough calories to take care of the national debt. And it's more than enough to sink any diet.
You just have to not worry about it and not feel guilty and enjoy yourself. But the other side of the coin is that you don't want to eat so much that that you don't even feel good and then you don't enjoy it.
But there are choices you can make to minimize the damage to your diet.
You can avoid things that are fried, bake things instead, because really the fat in the food is the thing that takes the longest for the stomach to empty.
Make those changes from the beginning. Instead of cheeses, chips, and dips, try something like a fruit plate to start the meal. It's healthy snacking and can be prepared early. The Grove Park Inn will serve more than 1,000 people at a Christmas buffet, and turkey will be one of the featured items, and that's a good choice. Here's some help for you as you fill your plate. The white meat of the turkey will save you a couple of calories. Take the skin off the bird and the savings are even bigger. When it comes to holiday cheer, cut out the alcohol and you cut down on the number of calories, plus you're a safe driver. Munchies can be included in your diet if you substitute the crunch of raw vegetables for the ridges in potato chips and use yogurt for the dip. And forget the pecan pie for a couple of cookies instead.
And now we come to dessert. Now, I'm not going to tell you not to have dessert, but what I am going to ask you is not to overindulge. And don't feel guilty about it. Just pick and choose something. Don't eat everything in sight, and try not to snack all day. A little of this is going to go a long way.
Remember, it's a lot like Christmas bills. The more you pile on now, the longer it takes to get rid of it come the new year. But you won't be alone. Healthy holidays. Linda Dawson, News 13.
And one more tip, make plans to take a Christmas walk after you eat. It's a good way to burn off some of those extra calories you might take in tomorrow. While you're indulging and making resolutions over the holidays, make sure to keep your pet in mind. As Carolina News Network reporter Dave Wright tells us, too many treats can harm our furry friends.
Veterinarian Tim Banker sees patients after the holidays. He says beware of feeding the family's pets leftovers, especially bones, and more especially turkey or chicken bones. Bone slivers can cut the intestines. And Dr. Banker has a general warning.
Very rich things, and that's probably the #1 cause of health problems that we see with pets after the holiday season. We will see at least a half a dozen to a dozen pets a year come into our practice, vomiting, diarrhea, even some seriously ill with a condition called pancreatitis because they've been fed a fatty type of material. The pet really cannot tolerate that high and rich a type of food.
And what you may think is a sweet treat can be deadly.
Very infrequently, but it can happen. We'll see a pet that's very sensitive to a chemical in the chocolate called theobromine. It can actually cause seizures and death. And so a piece of chocolate the size of a Hershey's Kiss for a small little poodle can actually potentially kill it.
But Dr. Banker says above all of the physical threats of the holiday is the psychological one.
It's funny, I got a telephone call about 4 years ago from a lady that was just so upset. Her dog had all of a sudden been urinating in the house, having bowel movements in the house. It was acting funny, it was hiding, it just wasn't acting right. And if you think of it, pets are very, very susceptible and very, very attuned to what's going on around them. If you change their environment, they can start having behavioral problems. And so think of what happens at Christmas time. You know, you move all the furniture around the house. You start putting up a tree. There are lots of people coming in that the pet's not used to having. And probably even more importantly, you don't think about their regular routines, their exercise, when they're fed during the day, what they're fed. It can actually affect a pet's behavior.
This is Dave Wright reporting for the Carolina News Network.
Was that dog who was outside carrying a dinosaur bone? We'll have to find out. Coming up next on News 13, Ken Bostic will tell us if we can expect a wet Christmas. But first, some more of your Christmas wishes.
Oh, just peace on earth, I guess. That'd do me fine.
I don't know right now. Just the electric keyboard I'm looking at. That'll be it.
Just to keep a good spirit. Not let all the depression and oppression get to them.
Ken Bostic is here, and you got some mail today. They weren't Christmas cards.
3 ties came in from Hendersonville. After the holidays, when I get back from holidays, we'll start showing them and wearing them, and we'll let you pass judgment on some of these ties.
A couple of those could pass as billboards. They're about this wide.
That's
but
right.
We gave Ken a tie on his birthday, in case you weren't with us a couple of days ago.
Right there it is.
We're inviting viewers to send in any and all ties they might have around the house, and believe me, the gaudier the better. If you have one at home that you'd like to send in, the address is Ken's Tie, and we'll make sure Bostic gets it, because I won't wear it. Post Office Box 2150, Asheville, 28802. And you're busy doing more than modeling ties today. You're looking for Santa Claus.
Looking for Santa Claus. We'll find him on radar probably around 11 o'clock tonight. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
By the way, you won't have to worry about this. Only once a year I wear this coat, so don't panic. You won't see it again until next year. Here's what's going on as we look outside. We've had a summer-like day across the mountains. It's been overcast, early morning showers, and then for the rest of the day it's just been on the cloudy side, but it has not felt like winter. It has felt like spring, really, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s. How about that? Right now it's 51 in Asheville. So is Hendersonville and Greenville, Spartanburg, Jetport, 51 degrees. Currently the winds are blowing from the east off the Atlantic. Our humidity is way up there at 96%. The barometer reading is steady, 30.25. It'll be falling later on. Here is your radar picture. Got a lot of shower activity in the upstate and moderate to light rain across western North Carolina, out as far as Robbinsville to Bryson City, down to Silva. All of this pushing to the northeast, over around the airport, Hendersonville, Brevard, and even around Tryon, Greenville, and Spartanburg, getting some light to moderate rainfall at this hour. Officially today, we got to 52 in Asheville, 29 the low this morning. Greenville, Spartanburg was 51 after a morning low of 34. Some afternoon temperatures, we got to 50 at Tryon and Rutherfordton, 49 in Anderson, 46 out at Bryson City, 53 Canton, Waynesville, 52 Spruce Pine. Even Mount Mitchell got to 51 today. That is warm. Well, if you're thinking about a white Christmas, there's the part of the country that will have it. Sorry, folks, for the southeast, no chance whatsoever. Satellite picture shows a lot of clouds across the Carolinas. The heavy stuff is still well to our west and north, from Texas up into the Great Lakes. A mix there of rain and some snow. High pressure, our weather maker, is gone. The frontal system is going to work its way slowly eastward tonight and tomorrow. By tomorrow afternoon, it'll be just across the western North Carolina mountains. A lot of rain behind it. Also a band of ice from Texas up into the Ohio Valley. The heavy snows will remain out in the southern Rockies over the weekend. Boy, I tell you, look at the southeast temperatures. 80s in Florida, all the way up to the Carolina coast. You're going to see temperatures in the 70s tomorrow, the 60s into the upstate. We might even see 60 degrees in western North Carolina. But you look out west, it is bitter cold out there, and most of that air is going to stay in that part of the country. Here is your official forecast we're looking at for tonight. Cloudy skies, a few showers around the area, 48 in Asheville, 50 for Hendersonville, Greenville. Tomorrow, looks like this, good chance of rain on Christmas Day. I'm sorry, folks, I wish I could do better for you. 60 in Asheville, Hendersonville 62, and Greenville you'll see 63 tomorrow. Then looking into the weekend, we'll see cloudy skies, 50 Saturday, cooling off with some sunshine Sunday, and then the clouds will be coming back with a chance of rain by Tuesday. Ken?
If you find a fishing pole and some hunting equipment this Christmas, they probably belong to Bob Caldwell. He has abandoned hunting and fishing in this week's Outdoors Report to try his luck with some blades.
Joe, you mean you want me to stand up on that knife edge?
Exactly.
What do I do once I stand up on it?
Well, once you stand up on it, you want to push off with the inside of your right blade, or whichever you decide to push off on, and just go ahead and push off. It's kind of just like roller skating.
Similar to roller skating.
Exactly. If you can roller skate, you pretty much can ice skate.
You're going to be close enough to me and you catch me.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Okay.
I'll be there to...
Here we go. You ready?
All right.
Having never been on ice skates in my life, I must admit I'm a bit nervous about trying to stand upright on something only 1/8 of an inch wide. But I soon find out it isn't as difficult as it seems. Ice skating is relatively new to the area, as the climate is just too mild. But here at the Waynesville Country Club in Haywood County, the public can skate on an outdoor rink, which can be kept frozen, even the warmer days of summer.
How do you keep the ice frozen? There's a compressor over on the side here, and there's actually 8 miles of pipes underneath the skating rink.
8 miles?
8 miles. Actually, an antifreeze with a glucose base that runs through and keeps the ice at about 16 to 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
Now, just as I'm getting the hang of it, the skates go one way, I go the other.
That's 2!
Once you get accustomed to the feel on the ice, most of the technique is basically the same as roller skating, except you're sliding. Now, if I can stand up on these things, you can too. Bob Caldwell, Outdoors.
And coming up next, Chip Tarkenton has the latest from the world of sports. But first, let's hear some more of your Christmas wishes.
A Christmas wish? Health and happiness.
Peace and goodwill. What else?
Now, Chip Tarkenton's the new guy here, so we can have some fun with him. Bostic's wearing his Herb Tarlick coat tonight. I at least have a red tie on, and you're wearing brown. It's Christmas Eve, my friend.
Well, I didn't want to wear what you would wear, so I thought I'd do something different. Since Bostic has ties, do I get coats? Is that the
Well, we can work on that. I don't know. That costs a lot to send those, though.
Okay. Until last night, the Furman Paladins were undefeated, but Coach Butch Estey's team ran into the Volunteers of Tennessee, and the unblemished record went right out the back door. Tennessee took an 84-66 win. Furman was led by Joey Brooks, who had 11 points, and even though Furman was defeated soundly, last night's showing was much better than the last time Furman played UT. That was in 1985. The Vols opened the game by scoring 24 unanswered points. Thinking about a trip to Kansas City for college basketball's Final Four? Well, it may take $2,000 to buy a ticket. The minimum for a ticket right now is $550, but the better seats are selling at $2 grand each. And think about this, it's still early. The Final Four in Kemper Arena is slated for April the 2nd through the 4th. The Carolina Christmas tourney came to a close last night at Reynolds High School, and it was a fine basketball extravaganza. In the championship game, Owen stopped Reynolds 79-67. The Reynolds loss is the Rockets' first of the season. Tournament MVP Vance Hamilton of Owen led the War Horses with 22 points. Tim White added 14 for the winners. Reynolds was led by Jimmy Six Eyes, 14 points. Now in the second consolation game, Murphy thumped Cullowhee by a 72-53 count. Carl Pickens and Brian Wilson had 19 points each for the Bulldogs. Cullowhee was led by their big center, Brian Henry. Henry totaled 14 on the night. In the first consolation game, East Gadsden edged by Mountain Heritage 65-63. Former Clemson University basketball player and one-time NBA guard Mitchell Wiggins has been dismissed from the Continental Basketball Association for failing a drug test. The CBA was Wiggins' last hope of playing basketball after bouts with drugs. Wiggins spent the 1979-1980 season with the Clemson Tigers. The South Carolina Gamecocks continue pleasing their head coach Joe Morrison as the team prepares for its Gator Bowl battle with LSU. The Gamecocks finished their practice sessions at Amelia Island today. Tomorrow the team will move to Jacksonville. South Carolina and LSU meet on New Year's Eve at 2:30. Notoriously, December the 24th, Christmas Eve, is the slowest sports day of the year. No NBA games, no football games, and only 1 or 2 basketball games. But for some, this day is a well-deserved day off. And if you belong to the NASCAR circuit, it may be one of a cherished few.
It is. You know, the boys get a day off before Thanksgiving and get 2 days off for Christmas. And other than that, that's it. The busiest time for them is really, you know, this time of year, they got to build all the new cars that you're going to build and, you know, get the transport ready and just different things like it. So it's really no time off for them.
NASCAR's first race is at Daytona at the end of February. That's less than 2 months away. Testing will pick back up next week at the track. And I can't wait for the racing season to begin.
And Merry Christmas, and I didn't mean that about your jacket.
It's all right. Hey, it's too late. You already picked on me.
Coming up next on News 13, Santa starts his rounds a little bit early, but first, more of your Christmas wishes.
A bike, a phone.
To see their faces when they get their presents. That's the fun part.
Finally tonight on this Christmas Eve, here's a tale that's real merry for you folks on Christmas Eve about a postman who's Santa, who brings gifts that you'll receive. Here's our Karen Coulon with the scoop on Old St. Nick. He's a jolly soul in a red suit with a step that's light and quick.
'Twas the day before Christmas, and throughout the neighborhood there were few creatures stirring, everything's looking good, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a post office Santa bringing mail filled with cheer.
Merry Christmas! One for you, one for you. Who wants the mail?
It's a yearly event for St. Nick and the mail, on that one day a year when it's Santa they hail. With the postcards and letters and gift boxes wrapped tight, he delivers them all with tremendous delight.
Look, honey!
On this route they await him, West Ashevilleans each year, for his coming symbolic that Christmas is near.
You gonna give Santa Claus a kiss on the cheek?
Give him a kiss and you can have it.
Oh, boy.
And for folks of all ages, this St. Nick is such fun. He brings smiles to their faces. Postman Santa's the one. On Donner, on Dasher, on Cupid, on Blitzen. It's a mail truck, not reindeer, but there's still nothing missing. And we heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Karen Coulon, Merry Christmas.
And as we close tonight, let's take one last look at the hustle and bustle of this year's holiday shopping. Good night and Merry Christmas.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven rejoicing.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, Chief Correspondent Richard Threlkeld.
Good evening. It's Christmas Eve and all's relatively well with the world.